I was never a fan of silence. And ironically, I ended up buying a huge house in the suburbs of Portland, Oregon, where silence is practically part of the social contract. My husband, Andrew, loved it from the very first minute. He had always wanted a spacious place with a yard big enough for a dog we don't even have yet. I liked it too, until I realized that most days I'd be alone inside it. We moved when he got the final job offer, staying in another city from Monday to Friday, always traveling back every other weekend. He called it a sacrifice for the future. I tried calling it just a temporary phase, but that phrase has started to sound ridiculous after so many Mondays when I wake up and don't hear anyone moving beside me. The house still smells like fresh paint. My parents live only a few miles from here. They try to show up on weekends, bring homemade pies, praise every detail as if they want to convince me I made the right choice. I smile. I thank them. Just so I don't have to admit the truth. I feel like a lonely stranger under my own roof, and that's where she comes in. Andrew's sister, Isabel. You know those people who always have an opinion about everyone else's life but get offended if someone comments on theirs? Yeah, Isabel is that, multiplied by infinity. We're not close. We don't fight. We just never had a real connection, and I thought that was fine, until she came to see the house. I remember how her eyes went through every room, like she was assessing a property she might want to buy in the future. She complimented everything with that exaggerated enthusiasm, a bit forced. Wow, this is the perfect house for parties. Don't you feel lost here all by yourself? I laughed. I always laugh when I'm nervous, but deep down, that hurt more than it should. I spent the following nights trying to convince myself, you'll get used to it. It's just the beginning. Soon he'll be here more often. Just thoughts trying to cover up gaping holes. During my first month living here alone, I started inventing weird routines. Making coffee for 2 people at 7 in the morning, leaving the TV on so I wouldn't hear my own breathing, ordering food even when I wasn't hungry, just so I'd have someone knocking at the door. It's ridiculous how silence can make you starve for any kind of noise. The house is beautiful, but sometimes living somewhere beautiful can be horrifically sad. I thought that was my biggest concern. Little did I know that was just the warm-up. The first time Isabel mentioned her baby shower was on a Saturday. Andrew had come home the night before, tired, wrinkled shirt, and dark circles saying more than any conversation could. I felt relieved just hearing the sound of his key turning in the door at 9 p.m. Isabel showed up the next morning, exactly at 11, with that smile that looks like a social media filter stuck to her face. She put her hands on her belly, already showing under a tight dress, and said she wanted something special, memorable, Instagrammable. Always that word. Portland has so many beautiful places, but none as beautiful as your house, she declared, looking up at the high ceilings like she was evaluating Italian marble. I felt the compliment like someone receiving a chocolate filled with poison, sweet and dangerous. Even so, my foolish heart warmed up. It felt good to be noticed, to be chosen for something. I remembered the silence all week. I remembered how I counted the hours until Andrew returned. I remembered how every compliment about the house made me feel less regret about trading my small bright apartment for the loneliness of a giant home. So when she asked, "Would you let me host my baby shower here?" I said yes, without asking Andrew, without truly asking myself. Andrew supported it, of course. He rarely contradicts his family. "It'll be good for you, babe," he said, scrolling on his phone while talking. Good for who? I should have asked, but I bit my tongue, as always. In the days that followed, Isabel texted me every night around 10 p.m. with ideas, inspiration links, decoration themes, brunch menus, pastel balloons that match the style of the house, pastries with edible glitter. I thought it was cute. I thought it was a chance to get closer. I thought I was finally part of the family. Her visits became almost daily, arriving at 1 p.m., leaving near 6. She walked through the rooms like she owned the place. I planned. I dreamed of people laughing in the kitchen, glasses clinking, soft music playing, the house alive, breathing. Maybe I was desperate for movement, for being included, for anything that would take me out of the position of spectator of my own life. When she asked me to take a day off from work on the day of the party, saying that, "You deserve to be rested to welcome the guests properly," I truly believed I was being invited to be part of it all. I should have been suspicious of the softness of her request, of the strange omissions in our conversations, of the lack of my name on any list or invitation she mentioned, but I ignored every sign. Because sometimes we accept crumbs of attention as if they were real affection. And the house? The house seemed happy too, with every decoration box arriving, with every occasional laugh echoing through the walls. I didn't imagine that all that excitement would come at such a high price. Every visit, she arrived with a new list. A list of possible guests, folded and revised. A list of flowers, discussing which arrangement harmonized better with my couch. A list of dishes I should buy, to match the style of the event. The first time she suggested my glasses were too simple for the photos, I laughed. The second time, it stung a little. By the third, I started thinking maybe I really didn't have good taste. I asked myself, why do I feel like my house is a rented set? Why am I accepting all this? But then she would compliment some detail, and I'd melt again. There was the menu tasting day. She brought 3 boxes of cupcakes from a fancy bakery downtown. I made small salmon sandwiches. The table looked beautiful. I swear it could have been a magazine cover. She took a bite of one of my sandwiches, made a quick grimace, and said, "It's nice that you try to participate. Really." As if I were a child proud of a crooked drawing. That same day, she asked me to try rearranging the furniture. Sofa centered, table closer to the window, rug repositioned. I helped, sweating, pushing the weight of the world in sofa form, and she just pointed, one hand on her belly and the other holding her phone. Whenever I said something like, "Maybe it looks better this way," she replied, "Let's trust me. I see the overall look more clearly." I nodded silently. But inside, this is my house. Why am I giving in so much? Damn contradiction. I felt used, and at the same time, flattered to be needed. There was also that quick conversation, almost invisible, but one I wish I had locked away as a red alert. Me. Rehearsing the seating arrangement would be great. I want to be prepared for the day. Her. "Oh, don't worry about that. I'll organize the positions myself." The positions. As if I were a piece on a board she would later decide whether it was worth placing on the table. I chose not to understand. I chose to keep dreaming of laughter in the kitchen, photos in the living room, music filling the space. One night, alone on the couch, I opened the virtual invitation to see how it was coming along. My name wasn't anywhere. I thought, well, she'll update it later. It must be a draft. Another sign ignored. I woke up before the alarm. 6 in the morning and I was already up. I made coffee. Just for me, as always. I showered slowly, chose a soft blue dress, something between elegant and comfortable, and brushed my hair more carefully than usual. Today I thought, I belong here. To this party. To this family. At 7 a.m., deliveries started arriving. Spring-scented flowers, trays with mini quiches and cupcakes, boxes with tablecloths and ribbons, balloons in pastel tones that looked like inflated marshmallows. I arranged everything with the decorators Isabel hired. They were quick, spoke softly, and every question was directed at me. "Will the dessert table go here? Can we remove this armchair from the living room?" I answered confidently. In that moment, I was the hostess. I was part of it. My phone buzzed over and over again. "We're on our way. Need anything while we're coming? What time exactly should we arrive?" All sent to her, but Isabel forwarded the screenshots to me, as if we were coordinating everything together. By 11 a.m., I was exhausted and happy. My heart was racing. Maybe disguised hope. Maybe I just needed the house to feel full. Isabel arrived shortly afterward, carrying a huge bag and her usual camera-ready smile. She looked around from top to bottom, and I let out that relief sigh of approval. The kind of thing I hate admitting I crave, but I do. Everything looks perfect. She said it looking around, not at me. Still, it hurt like a compliment. The house? Gosh, the house was alive. Sunlight came in beautifully through the windows, reflecting on the glasses I bought especially for that day. I moved lightly among the rooms. I felt useful. I felt seen. Nothing seemed wrong. It was around 1:30 p.m. when I felt the first strange chill. Isabel called me near the stairs with a kind of calm urgency, a voice that pushes while pretending to smile. And right there, seconds before everything collapsed, I still believed that party was mine too. She crossed her arms, looking directly at my blue dress, and I understood, without really understanding, that something was about to change. "So, where are you going to stay during the party?" I laughed. Short laugh. A laugh of someone who didn't get the joke. "Here. Where else would I be?" I answered, thinking it was a joke. Isabel pursed her lips, like she was being forced to repeat something to a slow child. "Today isn't about you. I want the event to be intimate, only very close family, and some important friends. You understand, right?" I blinked. The house spun a little. It felt like being on a stage and suddenly having the lead role ripped away without warning. "Isabel, this is my house." She just tucked her hair behind her ear and said, "That's exactly why I need you to be mature about this. If you're here, people might get confused about who owns the house. And today I need everything to make sense visually." Make sense visually. She really said that. The decorators paused for a few seconds, sensing the tension, then returned to work as if nothing was happening. I felt watched, humiliated. "I spent weeks helping you," I managed to whisper. "I took a day off work, and I'm so grateful. Really. You were very helpful. But now it's time to let me handle it, okay? I didn't put you on the guest list. I don't know why you're surprised." Guest list. Suddenly, the invitations without my name made sense. I ignored all those signs. Every single one. I bought gifts. I made food. My voice cracked because my dignity was slipping to the floor. "Just leave them here. I'll tell you later how it went." How it went. As if I were a distant neighbor, not the owner of the walls holding up that circus. My throat burned. I didn't want to cry, so I left. I went to the backyard. My phone kept vibrating with party notifications, but I was only looking for one name, Andrew. I called. It rang. It rang. Voicemail. Text message. No reply. Called again. Nothing. I felt tiny. I stared through the glass door, where Isabel chatted with the decorators, smiling like she had just removed an inconvenience. I was the inconvenience. My first instinct was to grab my keys and disappear, but I was so furious I needed to talk to someone who would understand how absurd this was. Someone with authority in that last name. My shaky hand scrolled through contacts. There it was. Isabel's husband's name. Samuel. We barely ever talked, but at that moment, he was the only link who wouldn't ignore me or pretend this was normal. I pressed call. The ringing felt endless. Hey? His voice sounded tired, but alert. And then I spilled everything. All of it. No filter. The shame, the anger, the feeling of being shoved out of my own life. He was silent for a few seconds. Long seconds. She told you to leave? From your own house? Yes. My voice came out low, but burning. Silence again. Then a slow, heavy sigh. I'm coming over. Isabel turned toward me through the window. She noticed something had shifted in my expression. Maybe she sensed the storyline she wrote alone was about to go off script. And for the first time that day, I didn't feel like giving in. The time between the call and the doorbell felt like forever. I stayed outside, in the yard. When the intercom rang, Isabel froze. She stood in the hallway, adjusting a flower arrangement, and her automatic smile vanished so fast I almost heard the mental click. Who's arriving now? No guests were scheduled for this time. I didn't answer. I just walked to the door. Samuel came in without making a scene. Jacket thrown over a simple shirt, tired eyes, and a silent fury growing in them as he took in the entire setup. He didn't hug his wife. He didn't touch her. He simply positioned himself between us. A boundary. She told me what happened. Isabel looked away, fidgeting with her bracelet like it could save the scene. Samuel, let's not be dramatic. It's just a party. I want it to be intimate. You know, only those who really feel like family. He raised an eyebrow. Slow, almost theatrical. She lives here, with my brother. She is family. My throat tightened. It wasn't exactly defense. It was acknowledgement. Something I desperately needed to hear. Isabel took a deep breath, trying to regain composure. She tried shifting the subject. This event is important to me. I need everything to be perfect. And that includes how people will perceive. The environment. The environment? Samuel repeated. The environment is her house. No yelling. No soap opera. Just two adults in a silent duel. And she was losing. He turned to me and asked with clarity I couldn't ignore, "Do you want to stay? Because this is your house. You decide." I tried answering without shaking. I want to stay. And that was it. Small words. Huge decision. Samuel nodded, taking his place beside me. The party wouldn't be perfect for Isabel, but she would have to swallow the fact that I existed in this story. Guests started arriving around 3 in the afternoon. The doorbell kept ringing. The hi, long time no see, you look gorgeous, filled the living room. And there I was, holding a glass in my hand so I wouldn't explode. The sound of conversations felt distant. No one knew what had happened minutes earlier. I smiled for photos, placed gifts on the right table, offered water, took coats to the guest room. And Isabel? She looked at me like I was an inconvenient ghost haunting the wrong place. Every movement she made was stiff, every smile, a cracking mask. Samuel diffused fires with his eyes, always nearby, always alert, as if he knew the smallest spark could trigger an avalanche. And he was right. Amid forced laughter, a cruel clarity formed inside me. This family doesn't want me here. But this house is mine, and I would not be kicked out of it by anyone. There were moments when I wished I could disappear. With every new guest walking in, I swallowed another dose of humiliation. I overheard someone asking, "Where's the lady of the house? I'd love to compliment her." My heart slammed against my ribs, almost jumped out of my throat. But before I opened my mouth, Isabel cut in. "Thank you. I really worked hard." She said it with her back to me, as if I were part of the furniture. I saw Samuel turn his head. He was close enough to hear. His eyes narrowed and he looked ready to intervene, but I placed my hand on his arm before he could. "It's not worth it," I whispered, trying to protect myself from more exposure. I tried to pretend everything was normal. I straightened plates, cleaned up spills, checked drinks. And then I realized I was serving in my own home, serving people who barely knew my name. At one point, laughter burst from the gift table. Isabel was telling some story, having the time of her life, like nothing had happened. Samuel kept a furious silence. Every camera click recorded a moment that would later be posted as if it were hers. The party continued for hours just like that. Plastic smiles, thick tension in the air, a constant game of avoiding eye contact. And I kept repeating in my mind, This is my house. I have the right to exist here. I have the right to stay. But something was very wrong. Something beyond the party. Something deeper that I still couldn't fully see. When the last guest left, carrying goodie bags and muffled goodbyes, I sat on the stairs, feeling the full weight of my body. Isabel walked past me without even a thank you. And what she did say wasn't gratitude at all. It was a sentence. Next time, try not to make it about you. Then she went upstairs, hands on her belly like she was the only fragile thing in that house. Samuel picked up some plates. He looked too uncomfortable to say anything that truly mattered, but when he reached the door to leave, he turned back. She crossed the line. I'll talk to her. I nodded, but my entire body knew that meant nothing, that I'd be paying the emotional price of that day for a long time. When the house was completely empty, I sat on the living room floor, just me and balloons slowly deflating. Around 11 p.m., Andrew finally called back. He was in a hotel meeting room and barely understood the rushed audios from earlier. I explained everything, detail by detail. He went silent. I could almost hear the exact moment the truth landed. What do you mean she told you to leave? From our house? I cried for the first time that day. I cried for myself, for everything I ignored just to be accepted. Andrew wanted to call his sister right away, but I begged him not to do it that night. I had no strength left for more drama. I just wanted to sleep and forget. But sleeping when your body is in alarm mode is almost useless. The next morning at 9 a.m., the phone rang. His parents' number. It started with that overly polite voice that masks judgment. We need to talk about yesterday. They didn't call to hear my side. They already had their script. If you had been more understanding, if you hadn't called Samuel, if you had let Isabel feel relaxed, if, in their view, the blame was mine. The word ungrateful was thrown like a stone at my chest. I bit my lip to avoid saying something I'd regret. She asked me to leave my own house, I replied. Did you really need to tell Samuel? They fought the entire night. He left the house. Ice ran down my spine. Samuel left home. Because of me, according to them. The baby might grow up without a father because of your attitude. That sentence echoed like a curse. I tried defending the logic of the universe. I just told the truth. Sometimes too much truth ruins families. I hung up before I started screaming. Blocked their number. My hands were shaking, but it felt liberating. Then I opened social media and saw photos from the party. Isabel smiling like a celebrity at an exclusive event. Caption about the dream home. Comments praising her great taste. No trace of me. No proof I had ever existed there. I blocked Isabel too. Maybe it was just instinct for survival. I didn't know yet that this digital block was just the first brick in a much bigger wall. A wall that was still being built around me. While I cleared notifications, my phone buzzed again. A message from Andrew. I'm coming home next weekend. We'll fix everything together. Fix. Such a pretty word with a bitter flavor. I had no idea how deep the hole beneath our feet really was. In the days that followed, I started living in a split reality. The version happening on social media. Perfect, pink, united, family-like. And the version inside my head. Real, bitter, smelling like something rotten that no one wanted to name. Andrew called me every night around 10 p.m. He tried to stay calm, tried to be diplomatic, but I could hear the tension. I understand you. I just don't want this to destroy our family. Our family. Funny how family becomes a weapon when convenient. I'd say I was fine, that I didn't want to argue about it anymore. A lie. I'd wake up in the middle of the night with looping images in my mind. Isabel looking at me like a decorating mistake, guests asking for the owner of the house, in-laws blaming me for a marriage falling apart. And the worst part? A piece of me started doubting my own story. What if I really overreacted? If I had just swallowed the humiliation and gone to a cafe, none of this would have happened. What if my loneliness turned small things into giant monsters? But they weren't small things. While life moved outside, mine got stuck in a loop, washing dishes that weren't mine, cleaning stains from a carpet I didn't invite. Early the following week, I got another unidentified call. I answered without thinking. It was my mother-in-law. Cold voice, judgment dripping. You need to talk to Samuel and apologize. He was always so calm. Now he won't talk to anyone in the family. I tried to breathe, holding the last bit of composure. I'm not responsible for that. Of course you are. You triggered everything. The word triggered was heavy. I hung up without defending myself. I was too tired to keep proving my own existence. Blocked her number too. But after that, the silence came with something new. Fear. Fear of being seen by his family as the source of chaos. Fear of Andrew realizing it would be easier to abandon me than break family ties. He tried to reassure me. I know who you are. I saw how hard you tried. But his voice was tired. So tired that it sounded like a plea for me not to make things worse. So tired that I wondered if, deep down, he wanted me to just let it go. But this wasn't going anywhere. I started remembering micro details. That shine in Isabel's eyes when someone complimented the house. The way she avoided saying my name. In any context, her urgency to get rid of me whenever things started to look beautiful. Like all along, I was meant to be a helpful ghost. Work, decorate, clean, disappear. I needed answers, and there was only one person who could give them: Samuel. I hesitated, because a part of me still feared finding out that maybe Isabel had a legitimate reason, and then I would be the villain of the story. But the bigger fear was staying in doubt. Doubt, when you let it grow, devours you. So I took a deep breath, grabbed my phone, and started typing. I felt like I was opening a door no one else wanted opened. Update 2. Samuel answered my call on the first ring, and the world Isabel invented began to collapse. Samuel didn't even let me say hello. He exhaled, the kind of sigh someone gives after carrying weeks of exhaustion on their shoulders. I need to tell you the truth before this swallows you whole. My body froze. He continued. Isabel didn't want you at the party because she planned to tell everyone the house was hers. Silence. I needed a few seconds to process what I'd heard. My house? I managed to ask, voice breaking. She thought she could impress a college friend. That woman is now married into a very wealthy family. Isabel wanted the friend's husband to invest in her future business. Future business. Investment. Appearance. Every twisted puzzle piece fell into place. She thought that if the friend believed she lived in a place like this, big, fancy, she'd gain more credibility. I remembered how she walked around the house proudly, touching surfaces like she was showcasing her property. So I was a problem because I existed, I said quietly. Exactly. Samuel also told me this wasn't the first time. Since they got married, Isabel had been inventing small versions of a life she didn't have, buying overly expensive clothes, lying about trips, trying to look like someone she wasn't. I tried talking to her, a lot, but she always said it was temporary, that soon she'd be on the level she pretended to be. When I confronted her last night, she tried to justify everything, said you ruined it, that you should have understood your role, my role, useful, invisible thing, a living set to support her lie. Anger surged through me. Samuel took another breath before finishing. I'm not going back home for now. You decided that because of what happened here? I asked, feeling guilty. I decided that because this was the limit. The party only exposed what was already sick between us. He explained he'd stay with his parents for a while, that he and Isabel would talk about couples therapy later. There was still a baby involved, and he was trying to do what made sense. For a brief moment, I genuinely felt sorry for her. Because no one who truly loves themselves needs to lie so much to be accepted. After the call, I sat on the edge of the bed. The house felt bigger than ever. Andrew got home at the end of the week and listened to everything calmly. He was shocked. Then sadness took over his whole face. I wish this hadn't happened, but I'm not going to ask you to blame yourself. Isabel didn't speak to me. No messages, no gestures. But through Samuel, and my in-laws in panic mode, we learned they started therapy. A patch, a breath, a chance. And for the first time in weeks, I didn't feel like the villain in the story. I didn't break anything. I only pointed at a crack that was already there. Because none of this had a clear ending, everything still felt one step away from breaking again. The baby was born at the start of spring. Andrew and I went to visit them at the hospital. Nothing exaggerated. Simple flowers, a cute blanket as a gift, a slowly written card. I stood at the door for a few seconds, trying to guess how her eyes would meet mine after everything. She was pale, exhausted. The baby slept on her lap, blissfully unaware of the chaos that surfaced because of him. She lifted her eyes when she noticed us. No smile, no request for me to leave, just a brief nod, recognition, and maybe a silent shame. Samuel was there too, sitting a bit away. Body turned toward the baby, but eyes that showed a vast distance between him and that bed. He talked with Andrew for a few minutes. Practical stuff, schedules, paperwork, the temporary home he'd rented, the crib set up in his parents' room. With me, every word was measured. Not out of hostility, but caution. Like anything said wrong could collapse everything again. I left the hospital with a strange feeling. Life keeps going, whether you're ready or not. A few weeks later, the news no one was surprised to hear, but everyone pretended to be. Divorce. Formal. No public drama. Each going separate ways with scheduled visits, dry texts about bottles and pediatric appointments. My in-laws called, not to argue this time, but to update me, like I was just another name in the family's contact list. I listened in silence, then thanked them, and hung up. I didn't celebrate anyone's divorce. I didn't root against anyone's love. Isabel goes on with her life. I go on with mine. We're not enemies. We're not friends. We are reminders of each other, reminders that teach without asking permission.